Well, it's now Wednesday the 26th of November 2014. The time is now 8 o'clock in the evening and the temperature in the workshop is 21 degrees Celsius. It's a lot colder out there. I've got the heating on. Very cosy. Now, I've been away for a little while. Not away. Haven't been anywhere. I've just been absent from here. Because, well, I've been proper poorly. My own fault. I should have gone to the doctors earlier. But I ended up with a nasty lung infection which reduced my oxygen intake. Oxygen level in my blood. That's what the blood tests revealed. Apart from one other thing. So I only eventually went to the doctor when I was having really uncomfortable chest pains. An idiot. A real idiot. I won't ever do that again. And I hope none of you out there do that either. You get a cough that lasts more than 3 weeks, get to the doctor. Just like I should have done and didn't, and paid the consequences, and had to pay the consequences for that. Suffer the consequences. So that's it. Anyway, 2 courses of antibiotics to try and shift it. I don't think it's completely gone, but I think we're on the way. What was the other thing? Well, the other thing that was showed up in the blood test was I have an underactive thyroid. So, what with reduced oxygen levels in my blood, which would make me feel very, very tired, and underactive thyroid. I'd never heard of that before. I'd heard of an overactive one, but not an underactive one. But one of the symptoms of an underactive thyroid is a lethargy. So what with the underactive thyroid and the lung infection, it's little wonder that I just didn't do anything basically. I got an invitation from 38 Degrees to see if I was prepared to get in touch with our MP here and ask him to organise a public meeting so he could explain to his constituents the dangers inherent in the transatlantic trade and investment partnership. Well, our MP only arrives here on a Friday, and he spends Friday night and Saturday and a bit of Sunday here in his constituency, and then he goes back off to London again because he's a front bencher, you know. So it was highly unlikely that he'd be able to organise a public meeting, and then it would have to be at a weekend, and nobody round here would attend a public meeting on a weekend. So how about the local Labour Party? Why couldn't they? They can't even organise a Christmas bazaar, never mind anything else. How about Barrow and Furness Trade Union Council? Well, I've told you before, they are not capable of organising a booze up in a brewery. All right, new secretary, and she's trying to get them going, and good luck to her, I mean it. I've said I will help if she wants it. She may not want that, but I've offered, and that's all I can do. As for attending Barrow and Furness Trade Union Council's meetings again, well, I wouldn't be going as a delegate. I'd only be going as an observer, and as an observer you're not allowed to say anything at all. Alright, which is fair enough. So I don't want to be going there to test the water, so to speak. But if it was simply them all sitting around like nodding donkeys as before, just listening to correspondence, nodding away for an hour, and then going off, and a month later coming back and doing exactly the same thing again. No, that's not for me. That's not me. I wonder if they too are suffering from an underactive thyroid, each one of them. I wonder if that's what makes them so lethargic, so apathetic. Ah, dear, I'm sorry, but they do deserve it. Oh, well, that isn't what I want to talk about. I've really got to get a move on now, because I want to show you a bit of the artist taxi driver, because what he's saying this time, well, what he says most times is highly relevant, but this time it's particularly relevant, and it's something that I have picked up on here in this town, where I have said to the local charities and the pressure groups, yeah, to get out into the public and explain and ask why things are as they are. And this is exactly what Mark is asking. I mean, don't take my word for it. Here he is.
You have nurses, firefighters, teachers have nothing, zero in the last 4 years. No, MPs get 11%, 35% for the banks. How have we got 5 million people living in poverty wages? Because this is about knowledge and power. This is about knowledge and power. This is the BB. This isn't about them explaining why. Why? Why have we got 5 million people living in poverty wages? Why are there 707 food banks? Why are there 90,000 children homeless this Christmas? Why is it the affordable housing? Why are councils getting rid of their not-for-profit council housing stock to build affordable housing? Why is Boris Johnson giving away public property where he should be building? Why? That is the question that we should be asking for children in need. If you really wanted to help children in need, if you really wanted to understand why there are children living in poverty, look at the welfare reform bill. Look at Ian Duncan Smith, Esther McVeigh. Those two should be made to come on children in need and walk the plank.
Well, there's Mark. He keeps asking why. Why aren't the charities protesting about this? Why aren't they coming out and explaining all this? It's simple enough, Mark, I'm afraid. I've asked that same question here with the Mind in Furness, with the Furness Disability Association. I've asked that question. And what's the response? Well, at first they're very evasive and they won't come out with the real reason. But the real reason is they're terrified of losing government funding, small though it may be. But that government funding keeps them going. That government funding subsidises the voluntary public donations that they receive. And frankly, they just could not continue without the government funding. The government knows that, And they know that. And what does the government do? Of whatever persuasion, the government turns around and says, you turn round and criticise government policy, and that is political. You are not allowed to be political. If you start being political, we'll cut off your funding. Which means that those charitable organisations would not be able to continue. So the very vulnerable people that they are trying to support would be left destitute. They'd be left out there with no support whatsoever. The government knows that, which is why it does it. It's financial and moral blackmail. That's what keeps the charities quiet. A very distressing situation for them. And if it's distressing for them, imagine what it's like for their clients then. For their dependents. Imagine the despair of those people at the thought of having this charitable assistance withdrawn. Much akin to having their benefits withdrawn. Well, these bastards don't care anything about that, do they? No. No. You see, to care about your community, you've got to have a soul. But if you're soulless, then you feel nothing. You are a Tory or a UKIP member. You feel absolutely nothing. For those that have fallen on hard times, through unemployment or through ill health or disability, you don't care about them. No. You're only interested in yourself. I can look after myself. That's you. No compassion, no consideration, no conscience. So if you lack those things, then the Tory party and UKIP are your natural home. That is where you belong, and that is why so many of the working class are flocking to UKIP now. Just like so many of the working class flocked to buy their council houses when Thatcher said, go for it, we're offering you a bargain, and they went for it. Didn't matter that they're removing housing from the housing stock. Oh, no, 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 no. Me, I'll look after me. I want it, me. That's the working class in Britain and has been for the last 40 bloody years. Working class solidarity don't make me laugh. I'll believe it when I see it. When the evidence is there before me, then I'll believe it. But I haven't seen any evidence of that in more than 40 years. So don't give me that. Anyway, I've got to go. So Mark, you're right. Ask them why. Ask them.